Just what's going on? It is Coach Tim here with another video, and I have a really good one for you today. We're going to talk about how to run the Beast offense with a very small roster. I'm also going to talk about how to run the Beast offense if you have a very small team physically. Believe it or not, some of my best offensive teams have been very small teams. So I'm going to show you exactly what I did to really dominate my games with just really small offensive lines. Before we get into this video, guys, do me a solid, like and subscribe to this channel if you're serious about having the very best youth football program in your league and you want to just win more games, score more points, regardless of the experience that you have. Also, guys, if you want to get more in-depth teaching and just get even more in depth with me, I want to invite you to join Beast Out You Premium. That is my membership site. We go over things that are not on YouTube. We go really in depth with all things youth football and really building your program up. The details are going to be in the description box below for that. All right. So let's get into this video, guys. As you see, some of you guys have been following me for a while now, and I have a different setting. I actually have built a studio, guys, just for you, so we can be a little bit more interactive. And I'm also thinking about creating a podcast, a live stream podcast where you guys can actually talk to me one-on-one. If that's something that you think would be really cool to do, just let me know in the comments. Just say, hell yes, man. And, that will let me know that that's something you guys are interested in. All right, so let's get into this video. So first and foremost, I just want to start off by saying that some of my best teams have been small teams. I'm talking about 15 players, 18 players. When I started coaching youth football back in the day, I only had 13 players, and we made it to the championship. We were 6-2. We lost our championship game my very first year. I think the score was 13-6. And I played the championship game actually with 12 boys, believe it or not. And we was dominating. And our offensive line was filled with a bunch of young, like small kids. I think my biggest kid was like 106 pounds, 105 pounds, something like that. And he was my center. So if you're thinking that you can't win games with a small roster, think again. And I'm going to show you exactly what I did. So first and foremost, the way I teach my kids from a foundational standpoint is the same exact way if I had a 25-30 team roster. Okay. Number one, I'm going to get my kids bought into my philosophy. So from day one, the biggest thing I want to teach my kids is to buy into blocking. Okay. I don't care what their position is. I don't care if they're offensive line, quarterback, running backs. It don't matter. I teach them to block and take pride in blocking. Everybody got to master the art of blocking in space. One thing that I do really for the first 2 to 3 weeks is we do a lot of blocking drills. We do a lot of one-on-one stuff, a lot of two-on-one stuff. And I want to make sure I put my kids at a intentional disadvantage at practice so they can get used to dealing with adversity. That's the first thing. You want to get your kids used to dealing with adversity. So I'm doing drills where I know my kids are, let's say, for example, we're doing a 2-on-1 drill. I know my offensive lineman is going to have a tough time taking on 2 defenders. But guess what? When they get into the games, they're used to having 2 guys coming at them, or 3 guys coming at them. And so I put them in a position to where they are faced with a lot of intensity and a lot of adversity early on. So really the first 2 to 3 weeks, we are grinding it out with being physical. I teach them proper hand placement, things of that nature, the fundamentals, good footwork, good reactions. What are the different type of blocks that we do? For me, I try to keep it really simple for my guys. I teach them how to drive block. I teach them how to gap block, and basically, they're blocking the inside gap. And then as time progressed, we start doing more advanced things like double teams, going second level, even third level. I teach them those schemes. So my team is hell of a good at blocking. Okay, that's the number one thing, because I don't care if you got a big team or a small team. If your team is not good at blocking, in my experience, they're going to struggle. Okay. And also in my experience, what I've always seen is the best teams that make it to the championship, they always have the best blocking team and or the best tackling team, or a combination of both. So I really double down on the fundamentals of blocking. Then number two, and this is very important, I go ahead and find out who's going to be my starting quarterback and who's going to be my starting center. That's very important. And there's something that I look for. It's a non-negotiable for me. I'm looking for the two kids that have the highest IQ, at least top three, IQs on the team. And it's a reason why I do that. Number one is when you got kids who are high IQ, highly disciplined, basically, what you will begin to what you have is a kid that will not make a lot of mistakes on the field. You want a kid like that that's not going to make a lot of mistakes for you, especially at quarterback. Because, sometimes you have a kid that's maybe a raw player that's a great playmaker, but if they're not a high IQ kid or an undisciplined kid, they're going to do a lot of things that really put your offense at a disadvantage. So I make sure my quarterback is spot on and very disciplined and very high IQ. Same thing with my center. I make sure that he's able to, number one, have the IQ to be able to hike the ball, have the right mechanics, and avoid a lot of mistakes. And I know some of you guys, you would get a kid that's a big kid that can snap the ball, but in high pressure situations, the kid end up costing you the game. And the reason why I say this is because that happened to me before. You put a kid in there who may be able to snap the ball, but they're not a high IQ player. They don't deal with adversity well. And what happens is they can cost you a game, especially in those high pressure situations. So I make sure that the two kids that have the ball just about every possession are my smartest kids, which is the center and the quarterback. All right, so let me talk about what you do when you have a roster that's small, 13 to 15 players. Let's use that number, that range there. One thing that I do, guys, my biggest player, my most physical player, I'm putting him at tight end or one of my beast backs, because what I want him to do is I want him to freaking blow up players when we're running the beast. You want to make sure you have a very physical kid who can create running lanes for your quarterback, who, as you know, if we're running the beast or any kind of single wing offense, that quarterback is going to have the ball most of the time. So if I got a small roster, I'm going to try to get my biggest, most physical player. And so I know sometimes your most physical player is not your biggest player, but I'm going to try to put my most physical kid on that edge, and I'm going to run to the play side where that kid can block. And what I do to kind of give him a break is I teach my kids how to double team block to help him out. And we already know the beast formation is so powerful because you already have numbers to whatever play side you're running to. The beast formation is all about leverage, right? It's all about leverage. So you got 7 kids blocking already on the play side. So you already got numbers. That's why the blocking is so important. So you already got numbers, but then if you got your most physical player kind of leading the way, you can really chunk up a lot of yards by having your most physical kid over there. And I can hear some of you guys already saying, okay, well, coach, my most physical kid is also my best running back. That's why I preach about having a 4 running back system. Train your other beast backs to carry that football, maybe even if they're not the most talented, because guess what? If you're running the beast offense, you should be chunking out about 3 to 5 yards per carry on average. Let me say that again. If you're running the beast right, you should be able to chunk out 3 to 5 yards on average even with a small team because of the numbers and the leverage that I was talking about. So it's your job as the coach to make sure you're training up your skill guys, those who will be carrying the football. Make sure you train them, teach them how to read their running lanes, how to properly hold that football, how to be able to see the field, and also follow their blocks. When you teach your kids how to effectively do that, it's going to be hard for defenses to stop your kids, even if the defense that you're playing against is bigger and even more talented. Because once you start running those power plays to the right side or the left side, and then you start hitting them with wedge plays and things of that nature, guess what happens? That defense gets worn out, and then they begin to get tired of getting double teamed and getting blocked by 7 kids, play after play after play. All right, so you want to make sure that you take advantage of that. Now, I've already kind of pivoted here, but if you have that small team, and let's say you got a small team and you only have 15 players, and let's say 3 of those 15 players are just like kids that's not really football players, and you really can't use them in a major capacity. They really truly are support players, or some kind of I call them my runts, the kids who may not be developing as fast. You still can use them. You can put those kids on the weak side. You can mix them in with the beast backs to help block. And that's the beauty of that. You can kind of hide those kids, and you can rest some of your best players as you run the beast. I would also recommend, if you haven't already, make sure you download my Beast Formation Playbook. It's free to you because it shows you how you can run the beast in a base set, a shotgun set. You can have it in what I call the 300, where all the beast backs are stacked in the middle, and you can just crush teams in the middle. It's a lot of variations of the beast offense you can run to really kind of play into the skill set of your team. If you got, speed players, you can run to the outside in a wide set or a shotgun set. If you got more of a power-based team, you can run that base set or that 300 set, or that super set. And what that does is it just gives you a lot of variety, a lot of different looks, and it creates a lot of confusion for defenses, especially if you're playing teams who really struggle with adjusting, coaches that don't know how to adjust their defenses against, a beast offense or a power offense. It will be to your advantage, guys. So, those are some of my best tips. Again, let's go back real quick. Number one, and this is so important. Don't skip these steps that I'm about to give you guys. Number one, you do not want to skip blocking. Okay, you want to put emphasis on blocking. You want to have the best blocking team in your league. Okay, that sets the tone for everything. When I put up 72 points in my championship game, guess what? I only ran 4 plays out of the beast in my championship game because my team was so bought into blocking, was blocking so good that the team we played just couldn't stop us. They couldn't stop us. It didn't make no sense for me to change my formation or a variation of my formation because the defense just couldn't stop us. We were scoring at will. And that all started from day one, having my players not just physically bought into blocking, but mentally and emotionally bought into blocking, And then number 2, make sure your most high IQ, low risk, most disciplined players are at center and at quarterback, okay? I don't recommend you running your quarterback crazy and he be the primary ball carrier. You want to get a 4 running back system. If you can do that, if you can't do that, let's go with a 3 running back system. I don't recommend a 2 running back system. Okay, let's go with a 3 running back system. All right, if that's all you have with your roster. But if you have a bigger roster, like I said, I've ran a 4 running back system with a 15 player roster before. So if you can do that, make sure that you do that because it's just going to bring a lot of versatility. It's going to save a lot of stamina. And it's going to give your team a major advantage with just versatility, especially once you start to wrinkle in the different variations of the beast offense. All right, guys. So I hope that helped you guys. Again, if it did help you, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. And if you want more in-depth teachings about what I do to run the Beast offense, what I do to really dominate games, win more games, score more points. I'm an offensive minded coach, right? So if you want to be just a juggernaut when it comes down to running offensive systems and really embarrassing defenses, I strongly suggest you join the membership. It's only $10 a month, guys. That's McDonald's money. If you want to join that, and I drop videos in there weekly. Okay, so when you go in there, you may not see a lot of videos, but I'm going to be dropping those videos in on a weekly basis. All right, guys. So I hope you got value out of this video. And guys, remember, win more games, score more points, and beast out. Peace.